are really happy to have you join us. Today we are talking about smart planning for destination events. I'm Kathy Norris, the Director of Marketing for Expo Pass, and I'm happy to have you join us as we dive into the ins and outs of planning for incredible destination events. Our experts are here today to share their amazing insights and tips so you can get started planning your next event. If you've attended an Expo Pass webinar before, welcome back. And for those who haven't, Expo Pass is an event technology platform providing event organizers like you with a suite of tools for planning, hosting events of all kinds. We're best known for our on-demand badge printing, and we're here to simplify your event as an organizer. If you'd like to learn more, there's a link in the chat, so please visit anytime. Before we kick off and dive in, I'd like to point out, as it looks like many of you already see, our chat is open. We also have our Q&A open, and we like to keep this interactive. So drop any questions in at any time. We'll also have some polls along the way so you can help us kind of guide the direction of the topic. You might see in the chat Lauren, our marketing manager from Expo Pass, and she's going to be there to help answer some questions that come up in the chat as well. If you are wondering, yes, our session is being recorded, so we'll send it out within 24 hours in case you miss anything or want to rewatch it again. And as you may have seen in our last email, we're doing a fun giveaway after this event, and a few of you are going to be getting a really cool Stanley and a travel backpack. So we'll email people tomorrow who have one. So yeah, really exciting stuff. But for now, I'd like to just kind of dive in and introduce our speakers. First, we have Heather Pilcher. Heather is CEO and executive producer at Blue Spark Event Design with over 23 years of experience crafting exceptional events globally, from promotional events to corporate conferences, with a focus on customer service and innovative planning. Heather's expertise is unmatched in the industry, and we're super happy to have you here. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. And then we also have Valerie Behet. Valerie is the founder of Vibe Agency, bringing more than 2 decades of experience in designing, producing special events worldwide. Her extensive client list includes many global brands like Dior and L'Oreal, showcasing her expertise in event management and destination planning. Thank you for joining us, Valerie. I'm so happy to have you both here.
Hello, everybody. And I'm bringing you some flavor because I'm live from Mexico right now.
Yes. All right, she's doing exactly what we're talking about with the destination planning right now, and multitasking by being on a webinar. It's amazing.
Impressive.
Superhero Kate. Yes. All right, well, let's just kind of dive in here and get to it because we have a lot to go over. I'm actually going to kick things off with a poll. And let me make this live right now. So wanted to know what regions all of you are typically planning your events in. This kind of just gives us a good idea of where your heads are at, the events you're planning. Looks like the answers are coming in right now, and we'll let them keep coming in, but it looks like it's already like 95% North America. So it looks like that's where we're at. But while that poll is live, let's start by asking Valerie, what are the first steps as an organizer should take when planning an event in a new destination?
I will start with a few things. I think nowadays it's very important also to know your audience and to know also what are they attracted by, So when you choose a destination for your next event, where people want to go, where they will be interested to go. So this is key. So then after you will see if you will stay national or if you will go international. And when you will choose this destination, there is a few things that you need to take in consideration. I will take right now, and if Heather want to jump after on the national, I will take the international because right now I'm live from Mexico. You need to check if people have passport. It's still stupid to say, but not everybody has a passport. I've been lucky because I'm European. I could try to say I'm from Paris, Texas for 25 years. Nobody is believing me. But maybe I will be lucky. One person will believe me. I'm from Paris, France. So I had the chance. It's true. In Europe, everybody has a passport. So we travel. But in America, you need to check if people have passport. Then nowadays, you need also to check if you need a visa. because visa is important. So when you plan, for example, for an international destination, a visa is very important. Then after, you have ESTA and you have all those things. When I plan event in United States with international brand, this is all the key factor that I need to take in consideration. Then after, when I choose my destination, I look for trends. What are the new trends? I have the chance to work for the IMF, International Monetary Fund, and we do 2 years in Washington and 1 year abroad. And it seems stupid, but each time when we go abroad, this destination became very trendy and people are attracted to go there. So this past year in October, we went in Marrakesh. So I'm looking for Marrakesh as a future destination, for example, to propose to some of my clients. Then after, you can look for in movie trends. Like remember when you had the Yellowstone movie, everybody was thinking to do an incentive trip in Yellowstone. So, you need to take all these little factors in consideration because this will help you to choose a new destination. Then after, what is key? Do you know the destination or you don't know the destination? You need to educate yourself. This is key. You need to go on a site inspection, or you need to make sure that in this destination, you have at least 2 or 3 persons that you can call for help, to give you some input, to give you some insight. And this is definitely very important.
Thank
And
you, Valerie.
yeah.
We're gonna, a bunch of the things you mentioned, we're gonna actually dive even deeper into those coming up because those are all just so on point for what we're talking about. Heather, do you have anything to add for first steps on planning an
Yeah.
event and a destination?
Yeah, you're going to hear me harp about this a lot is goals of why you're having the event and why you need to be in that destination. And Valerie touched a little bit on it as far as popularity comes into it, but for data sets too, like where is everybody coming from? Or is everybody from the middle of the United States? Is airlift going to be really important for them to get to wherever the destination is? But more importantly, like, why are you going? Does that destination fit what the goal is that you're trying to achieve? I would also say I agree with the site visit 100% because you can't tell what it smells like by looking at the pretty pictures, and that can be really important depending on what kind of venues and such you're going to use. I would also say you would also need to make a really good effort to find out all the resources available in each destination. For example, we went to Montana with a client and we were like, hey, we need, 6 buses, we need, 12 SUVs, I need 20 sedans. And they were like, super. Okay. So we've got 3 buses and we've got 2 sedans. And I was like, oh, okay. So you kind of have to know what the resources are available in each city to be able to make that a successful event. So don't just pick it just because maybe your boss really likes Montana. As a internal planner, marketing professional, whatever, whoever's organizing it, really work with your professional meeting planner like Valerie or us to really deep dive into those details before you get there and realize it's going to be a poor customer service experience for people.
Awesome. Great tips and kind of what to do first when you're starting out your planning. Heather, could you take us a little bit into how you would create a comprehensive event timeline just to make sure nothing's getting overlooked in your planning?
Yes, let's just assume that you have a year in advance to plan, which we all know that's not necessarily true anymore, but we're going to assume that. I would first and foremost start with your hotel contracts, whip out all those deadlines for everything that is needed, food and beverage, rooming lists, all that stuff. So those are the staples, obviously, where the event is, of the event dates as well, when registration is due, and then kind of backfill what is necessary and what's coming up next. So the marketing efforts, when the website's going to go live, how you're going to promote the conference, if it's for user-based or even if it's internal, maybe key points of when you're going to stop and share with your leadership where we are, how we're doing on rooms. Do we need to talk about additional rooms because it's so popular? Do we need to talk about attrition and what we're going to do about that because we don't think it's tracking the same as it has been for years over year? So including meetings like that will be really helpful. Internal project lists as well will help you fill the timeline to make sure you don't miss anything. I know a lot of people use Trello, or Microsoft 365 has some project tools that you can really communicate to your entire team so everybody is kind of seeing the process and how things are being ticked off as you accomplish the goals along the way. So I would start with the major milestones and then kind of fill in other detailed tasks to make it efficient and flow nicely.
One thing I will add, if this conference is not the first one, first things, take the timeline of last year, of the previous event, plus take what you learned from the previous conference, what worked, what didn't work, can you improve,
Good
and
point.
you also take it from there.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. And then the data maybe from the survey is what they liked, what they didn't like, and if there's a new direction or if it's good the way it is, we'll keep it consistent because the CEO likes whatever, It's a good point.
Yeah, that's amazing. In my past roles at other companies doing event marketing and working close with the event team, I can't tell you how many times we'd have post um, event meetings and go over what went wrong. And then when they plan next year, it's not taken into consideration. And that just blows my mind because, as you both said, that's just kind of
And
really
with
good
the
starting point.
with the help of the tool that Heather was mentioning, us, we use ClickUp in our company. It's also very easy because you gain a lot of time. Plus AI nowadays will help you also a lot. So use
True.
those tools as event planner. Don't be afraid to use those tools now.
Yep. I agree with the surveys and the feedback. I will say sometimes that is from the top down because they don't understand the details of what goes in to change whatever that was wrong. So sometimes that's why those decisions stay the same, or at least that's the way we perceive them.
Makes
But
sense.
yes, I agree.
I'm gonna put another poll up here just to see where everybody's heads are at. Let's see. Come on, Zoom, let me do my poll.
I would say also too, as
Um,
another, just a tip for internal, we do a lot of just like Microsoft Outlook reminders too, like, hey, just FYI, your rooming list is due in 2 weeks. It can get bogged down if you're doing like multiple programs, but it is also another nice reminder because you look at your calendar quite often. And when that pops up, you're like, oh yeah, forget about that. So
for sure. So I just put that question up there. It looks like you guys are already answering it. Just what do you consider the biggest risk in planning destination events? And you have a few different choices there. I'll just let that run for a while, but it looks like logistical errors / travel delays is by far number one. So while you're answering that poll, I would like to elaborate a little more. Valerie, if you could tell us more about, I know we got a little bit about site visits, but what are some factors to consider when people are selecting a new venue in a new destination?
Me, I would say one thing. Usually, the budget of your event, when you plan it, you need to think about what is more important. A budget of an event, it's like an income. It's a piece of pie. So 30% is the hotel. Then the rest, you have the AV, you need 10% for miscellaneous, you have the travel, you have everything else. So what is important for the guests? Like right now, I'm in a beautiful hotel in Mexico. And we know that for our participant, the hotel is key. The rooms, the food is very important. So after we have maybe a little bit less to do for activity in our budget, but this is what is important. So you need to understand your audience, what is important for them, what is key for them. So after, for example, like here, I'm in Mexico, and when you have some decoration, when we bring some product, we need to take this in consideration, for example, when you work with luxury brands, because you need to produce a lot of visuals, you need to produce some podiums, you need to produce a lot of things for decoration. So every client is different, I would say. You need to adjust yourself to what they want, what is important for them, and this will help you choose your destination, choose your venue, find a good vendor, find a good supplier.
those are good points. I would agree with those. I do think that based on the demographics of who is coming, kind of like, for example, when she was talking about a luxury brand, you're gonna base your decisions a lot on who's coming. So if you have a group that is maybe blue collar and they're more into something that's casual and comfortable, but they really maybe maybe they're more into like country music or something like this. You're going to use those demographic key points and try to guide them to a venue that's going to be a big hit for them. I would also say that things that have a big brand already on their own, if you're going offsite for an event, so going to the House of Blues, you're going to Universal, you're going to Disney, whatever it is, as long as that brand doesn't overtake your event, that could be something that's very, very memorable for those guests. If it fits in your budget, of course. So you want to take 1,000 people to Universal and do a New York street party, that might be something that they talk about for years. I would also say, in addition to that, maybe if you do it on site and do name act talent, that again, private event, private concert with, I don't know, we were talking about Aerosmith yesterday, which is huge budget, right? But still, either way, even somebody from the 80s or the 90s that, we had Vanilla Ice at one of our conferences. I was a huge fan. I was like, "Ooh, cool." But something that you remember, we talk about it still. So something that is important to the guests and really focus on that will make the biggest impact.
Um, we have a question that came through on our Q&A from Jason, and he's asking about internet reliability at your venue
Oh, yeah.
when you're doing your site visit and live streaming and offering virtual attendance option. So what do you need to be aware of if that's something on your event agenda?
Internet,
Yeah, it's
landline,
tough.
and definitely to make sure that the team that is on site have done virtual event, because when you do a virtual event, you need to be a TV producer if you want to do it well. People say, yes, I'm doing it just to do Zoom every day. It's not what I call to manage a virtual event. When we manage virtual event, we really manage it as a TV producer. So you need to make sure that the team, you have the good vendor to make sure that they know what they do. You need to make sure you have a very good internet connection, and landline, only landline. Don't trust the Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi in any location can go up and down, up and down. You need to be landline connected. This is key.
Agreed. I would also say that you're going to need to be aware of the entire bandwidth or broadband that is in the hotel and what the capacity is. Because let's say that you're a smaller conference footprint because you have smaller amount of guests in person, but you're going to do a really big virtual. If you have another 2,000 person conference and all of them have bought Wi-Fi or whatever, and they're all pulling from the same thing, what are the chances that you're going to get kicked off even if you have a hard line? So there's a lot of deep dive discussions that you need to get into with the internet provider at the hotel and talk them through what and how and when. And if you're going to test it, you could, I've never done this to be honest, but you could go to the hotel as far as a site visit and say, this is so important to me, I want to do a test. But regardless, there are other factors going on in the hotel that could affect it. So it's a tough thing to do. I agree. So it's always something that you can plan the best you can for like the up and down speeds and such based on how many people are going to log in, but it can be tricky. I agree. So experienced personnel, like Valerie said, is very important.
Absolutely. We have another question too on this topic. Wondering how much of your budget will Wi-Fi take? What do you need to put aside for that? I know that could add
Depends
some
on how
big
you
dollars in there.
You need, first of all, the big things, try to negotiate it for free before signing your contract.
Mm.
Nowadays, everybody needs internet. At some point, wherever you go, you should have internet. You go in a restaurant, you should have internet. Anybody connect. So try to negotiate with the hotel, definitely, to have it in your contract included for the guest. Make sure there is a difference. It can be in contract in the guest room, but when you are in your ballroom, it can be a different internet. And then they don't tell you. And then they say, oh, the Wi-Fi in the room is one thing, but the Wi-Fi in the conference center is another one. So just make sure that negotiate that with the hotel, because after, you have some heavy company, and we don't want to name them, but one who has a monopoly in the US, they can charge you a lot on site. So be careful. But after, it depends on what you need, but they can go for $10, $15, $20 per person per day. So that's why you really need to negotiate.
We've had clients that do a variety of different ways. We have clients that don't offer them Wi-Fi at all. Boop. Nope. You get nothing. Good luck. I hope your cell service is great. Right. We have other clients that will pay for Wi-Fi connections. We have other clients that will buy a higher level hard line and then bring their own equipment to kind of spread that signal to their attendee space specifically. I'm not sure if that saves a whole lot of money, but they like to control the security of the Wi-Fi signal. So I've had some of our software companies is really who get into the detail of that because they geek out on the internet side of it. So it can be sliced and diced a variety of ways, but I do agree with Valerie. If you can't get it comped all together, I would definitely ask for a discount if it's going to be important to the success of your conference. Specifically, if you're showing software, I don't know, kind of systems. If it's a conference where everybody's doing classroom tables and everybody's bringing their laptop and they need to connect to be successful, you need to figure a way around it. It's going to be something that's going to be in your budget.
All right, so put budget aside or work on those negotiating skills.
Mm.
Let's see. I'd like to get a little more into talking about cities. I think you both started to mention this when we kicked things off, but Heather, could you tell us a bit about city selection? Like, what are the best cities to host a destination event, and like, are bigger cities better than lesser known cities, and all
I'm
of
going to talk
that?
about the US. We do some international as well, but I'll let Valerie touch on those. For big cities in the US, right? So the big popular, usually we have larger guest counts at our conferences. So we're looking for big box hotels. So we're like Orlando, we end up in Dallas, Houston, Phoenix area, Chicago, sometimes New York. And these cities have really amazing attractions. They have really amazing hotels. They've got great space. They've got great airlift because they're hubs. They are popular destinations to go to. There are things about each city that can be drawbacks or can be benefits, like going to Chicago. There's a lot of union fees, so you got to worry about that with budgetary restrictions. New York City, although I love it, it's an amazing city. It can be really difficult to move 1,200 people in buses from the Marriott Marquis to somewhere else exciting because New York City really wasn't built for huge, massive buses in an event space necessarily. So you better have a lot of staff out there making sure all the taxis move and the Ubers and making sure they're going the right way on the one-way streets and all that fun stuff. So it's possible, it can be done, but it is a little bit more difficult. Orlando is built for conferences. I mean, we have bus lanes and all kinds of fun stuff. So it's a good city. It has a little bit less cost. So those are sort of like the bigger tier ones. Denver has become a popular second. I guess it's second tier. Nashville. Everybody seems to love Nashville. Got a lot of new properties now. It's got obviously Broadway. It's got cool attractions, and it's super easy to theme your conference like reverberation and results or whatever. So it's kind of fun or unplugged and awesome. I don't know, but it's a really easy way to kind of tie it into whatever you're trying to achieve in the conference. I would say Austin also very popular right now, right? With the music too, again, spinning it that way. Portland, Oregon is becoming more popular, especially if sustainability and green initiatives are important. That kind of the country kind of leans that way. Savannah, love Savannah, very small. We did a really successful product launch for 500 people down there in 21. But it was difficult trying to find rooms on one side of the river, and we actually had to use the Savannah Convention Center because it was the biggest space that would fit that many people. So it can be challenging in the second tier cities. Things that you get though in the second tier: charm, unique venues, probably a lot of history. The things you don't get are like infrastructure and like airlift. Like Savannah, there's not a direct in there. You're going to go into another airport and drive, right? So the opposite is true for the other ones. Like there's lots of flights that go to Orlando, even internationally, right? So people are coming over if that's important to your group. So there's a lot of reasons why people are picking the city that they do. Second tier can be a little bit less costly, but I don't know, Nashville is super popular right now, so it may or may not be cheaper too. I would definitely still check, but yeah. Valerie, what do you
Valerie,
think about international?
yeah, what do you?
No, what I say, it's me, I think, first of all, like, we go depending on the type of client that you have. So if you are looking for, like, when we were doing a lot of tech, e-learning expedition around tech, we are looking internationally, some cities where there is a lot of things. So we did Dubai, we did Japan, we did Berlin. So you need to take also those are in consideration. And one thing also, it's the same in the US. Yeah, like right now we also have been lucky to do a lot of tech. So Austin is very popular. We are working on 2 conferences beginning of next year in Austin because of the tech and the situation that Austin is booming in the tech industry. And we just did also 2 New Orleans. So we are looking also top tier 2 destination. And then we are looking for also what's new, what's going on in the market, you know, with new hotels, because at some point when you work a lot on destination and you come back and everything, where is there new hotels? Like, you know, in Mexico, for example, Cancun has been used a lot. Then people were going south of Cancun, they were going to Playa del Carmen. So when Playa del Carmen grew, a lot of new hotel and everything. And now it's Tulum. And Tulum just opened an airport, and you have a lot from the US, a lot of direct flight from the US, and you have a lot of great property. So right now I'm in Tulum, and the hotel is amazing, really amazing. So you look for all these type of things, you know.
One of the questions that popped up on the web chat says, do you think it's better to work at a convention? I'm assuming a convention center or a business center or at a hotel. I would say that depends on your group. I have clients that need the service level of a hotel. That's the best way to say it. Like, they need the red coats or the green coats bringing them coffee in the morning. They need to know that if they miss a table or 2, that they can pop up and do it instantly. You do it at a convention center, you're going to pay for every set that's going to be reset. And there may or may not be a red coat or a green coat or a conference services person always following you around with coffee or whatever. But I will say at a certain level, you know, if you get over, I'd say 3,500 people, you're going to be at a convention center. And so you kind of have to take it with what the group needs as far as space goes.
But we have also a lot of clients who are asking us to go outside a classical ballroom style. We just did a conference for 500 people in Miami. So we were on 2 or 3 different hotels, walking distance from the space. And we use a beautiful outside venue for that specific conference. But in that case, you need also to watch out, because the hotel wants to get the space and they will sell you the rooms. So you need to pay attention to that. But nowadays, people are more and more attracted by smaller boutique hotel style with the charm and everything. So in that case, you can go with hotels who don't have the space, and you can find close by a beautiful venue to do your conference. So this is also an option.
Very good to
Cool
keep in
too.
mind. Yeah. So I know we just mentioned a bit about finding your event space and what type of city is dependent on your group size. Valerie, could you tell us a bit about how you manage travel logistics when you do have a large group, and also different arrival and departure times for all of those people coming in and out?
Hello. The first things right now, it's on the flights, you know, when we work on flights. There is different people. You can have a real travel agency who has Amadeus and all these things. I'm using an app right now that is very good. So actually it's a good tips for anybody if you want to know them. They are brand new kind of in the market. It's all fly. So this is helpful when you have a large group, because to book all the flights and all these type of things, and very helpful. You determine different criteria, pricing, airline they want to use, type of class and everything. And then you just have to approve it. Then after, we manage with an app for transportation. So the transportation company that we are working with, they have a specific app, and you have all the driver, all the pickup time and all that. So this is very helpful when you have a lot of large groups. But after, you need also to work with your time zone. So this is key. And your agenda will depend a lot on that, you know, because if you have people who arrive very late on that day, don't make your conference at 8 a.m. Make sure to think all this and to take this in consideration. Yes, Nikki, I see Allfly, ALLFLY. You will have our contact information. If you want to exchange an email, I will give you some tips on that. But definitely, I will say after, you know, to make sure about these things. Nowadays, there is also something very interesting for budget purpose, because we all know, event planner, that our budget are still tight, and the cost of every services has increased a lot. And nowadays, for example, on transportation, some people, they say that every guest is responsible to pay, because you have also Uber business. And in some destination, people are responsible to come from the airport to arrive at the hotel, and we don't organize transportation anymore. They can pass this on their own expense and everything, for example. So this also help, but yeah, this is what I would say.
I would say make sure the destination you go to, make sure they have Uber.
Yes, like for example, in Tulum, they don't use Uber a lot. They don't use Uber a lot. They use
Yeah.
taxi. So
Yeah.
you need to make sure your communication to the guest is very important. So that's why site inspection, ask people that you know, it's key to have all this. And we use a lot of app right now to communicate with clients and agenda information before they arrive and during their stay and when they leave. So this is key.
Yeah, communication is definitely key for transportation and travel logistics.
Yeah.
But nobody reads their emails, so be prepared to explain it anyway.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you know
What
what? If
other,
you have a large group in your staffing, have a travel coordinator.
Oh,
You
yeah.
need, when you have a large group, to have one person dedicated to that. It's key. Don't cut on your budget on those things. Don't say, oh, I will manage, or two people in my team will manage when they have to do something else. Transportation is key because this is the first step to make people happy.
Yes.
absolutely. So I know you mentioned, Valerie, the All Fly app. Heather, do you have any apps or tools that you would suggest people use for managing the travel logistic communication side?
It's we have clients that do a variety of things. So a lot of times they'll make the conference app live ahead of the start of the conference. So that could be a communication tool directly from the guest to us if something changes. WhatsApp, I know is it's something that everybody uses, but it helps internationally if you don't have cell service. Hopefully you have Wi-Fi so you can at least communicate. It's always fun to end up in an international destination, have no cell phone service and no Wi-Fi. You better have printed out that email. I hope that you can find your driver. And then we use Flight Aware. It's a really great app as well, as far as flight status, delays, cancellations. It has accurate arrival and departure times. You can do custom alerts on things. It shows you historical flight data. So that's kind of fun. So you can do this personally. Like you book yourself to go to New York City for the weekend, you can check and see if that flight is almost always delayed, because that's always fun. You want to pick another
Oh
one.
no.
Yeah. And it also does global coverage, right? So you can do it internationally as well. But we use those a lot. A lot of the times the communication goes from the client directly to the guest, and then we will manage the manifest after we get the information. So. Oh, I will say
Those,
too, cell phones are key, especially domestically. I want to know everybody who's coming in their cell phone, because if, Sam is stuck in baggage claim 1, even though he's supposed to be in baggage claim 3, sometimes you just can't help them until you call them, or if they can call you and text you and just really communicate them to help with that service level.
And just make sure about one thing. Remember, in airport, when you do pickup transportation, there is a lot of different exits. So internationally, you meet
True.
after the custom, after the luggage. National, even if people have a carry-on, because nowadays people prefer to travel with carry-on, you still need to meet your driver at the baggage claim. Definitely important. And try to have cell phone number. When you have VIPs, you will see, we can talk about it. They always try to sneak. They go and they don't look at somebody. So you need to look for them.
Yep. Valerie, have you had a lot of challenges too with people that language barriers, like they ended up in Marrakesh and they only speak English? Like, is that a big deal for your guests that go?
So what we did, so it's a barrier, like in Japan also. What we do in that case, we put a translator. We make sure we have a translator added to the people if we know, because we scout them and then we put a translator.
I just got back from Japan, so I can understand that pain. I mean, Google Translate's awesome to a certain point, but if you don't have Wi-Fi,
yeah,
not helpful. So
alors you have a tools. There is another thing. It's called Pocket Talk. POCKETTALK. I don't have it with me right now, but it's a little box, and you do it in English, and they talk in Spanish or in Japanese or in Russia. It's great. Pocket
that is awesome.
Talk.
Yeah, very nice.
I find it at the CES.
Really? That's amazing. Oh, very funny.
one of those good finds for sure.
Yeah.
We got a question going back about site visits from Jen in the audience. Wondering how far out do you need to do your site selection? Should it be as soon as you decide on the city? Should it be before that? Is there
Well,
a
but you should
time
see it
frame?
before you sign the contract with the hotel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
so,
but you, of course, depending on the budget, like right now, we are planning a conference with 450 people, the one we just did in Miami, and we are scouting 3 different destinations. Are we going to do the site inspection in the 3 different destinations? No, budget-wise, we cannot afford it. So
Right.
we are narrowing down the 3 destinations to 1, and then we go to the 1 destination that we choose. So usually this is what we do. But honestly, nowadays, if you don't have a budget, what you need to have, a phone with a video. So you need to make sure at the hotel that you tell them, make me a virtual site inspection. Take me, make you arrive. I'm here and in my cab, I arrive. So this is a lobby. Where do I check in? Where do I go? How long it takes and all these type of things. So if you don't have the budget to go and everything, and you don't have the time, because nowadays it's not only a question of budget, it's also a question of time.
it is.
I've been on the road for literally every week for the last 2 months for events, project after project after project. So, you know, you need to adjust also these things. But definitely, if you have the budget, go before your event. Even if the week before your event, you have the opportunity because you have the budget to do it, go. You will sleep more at night. You will anticipate things. You can still make adjustments. Of course, when you plan an event normally, 3 weeks, 3 months, or 6 months or a year, do your site inspection.
Yeah, we normally do a couple. If we, like I said, if we get the blessing of doing it a year out, we'll do one before the contract, right? And then we'll do one 6 months out, and then one probably three months out, just to make sure nothing has changed, just to reconfirm that yes, this is where the buses are going to go. Oh, by the way, you're updating the lobby. Great, really? When's that happening? So,
But this, on big
like that.
events, you can do it. 3 site inspection on big conference, yes. On
Yeah.
small conference, when you plan for 100 people, it doesn't
Yeah, no,
justify a budget.
you're right. True.
Because
Yeah, agreed.
Voilà. Remember, a site inspection can cost average between $3,000 to $5,000
Mm-hmm.
minimum.
Yeah, agreed.
Adds up for sure. So earlier I put out a poll question about what the biggest risk in planning was, and we had just about 60% was saying logistical errors and travel delays. So that kind of plays into our next question here. For Valerie, what are some strategies for dealing with unexpected travel disruptions and delays? How can you prepare for those?
One thing, stay calm. There is nothing that you can do.
Amen, girl. I agree.
Stay calm.
Find a
There's
solution.
nothing that you can do, so find solution. So
Mhm.
if you have a good travel team and everything to keep you aware of this, they will help to deal. Then after, really, it's when the guests arrive, they will arrive, you know that they will be like exhausted. You know, they will be mad. Oh my goodness, it took me like 24 hours to arrive here, and I had to stay at the airport, and it was delayed, and we stayed 2 hours in the plane, and we had no drinks, we had no food. So you know what can make them happy? When you arrive, make them a welcome committee with a big smile, you know, because like that they will say, oh, you are here, even if it's 2 a.m. There is so many times where I was in my room, I know they were arriving, I get out of my PJ and I run downstairs and I was there, and they were like, it's 2 a.m. and you are here. Yes, I was here for them, you know, and they know. And you know what? They had the drinks. We make sure they had a little cocktail when they arrive. We make sure they had a plate in their room when they arrive. Negotiate maybe with the hotel if you can have an upgrade or something like that, a little treat, a little special notes. Try to find like little something that makes them smile, you know, and acknowledge, you know, at the next day at the conference, you know, you say thank you to all of you who make the effort. You acknowledge the fact that it's take time for them to arrive, but now they are here. Now it will be a better day. Let's start on a positive note and just try to make those little things. I think it's attention, detail and attention, and people will remember that. They will remember that. And, you know, maybe make them sure when they leave, they get like an extension. You know, if they leave, instead to check out at 12, you give them some few hours more before they leave, if they leave later at night, you know, so little things like that.
It's fabulous customer service, really. It is.
Yeah,
And then people
absolutely.
remember
I
that.
love
I had a client that lost a cell phone on the way out, and I went to like all lengths in Vegas to try to find it and finally did. And just, I think people just, it's stuff that's not monetary, but if they feel like they're taken care of, like what Valerie did and did a welcome, that's amazing. The clients are going to love that. So yeah, just being taking care for the guests is really important.
yeah, I love that. You can't always fix the travel disruptions, but it's what else you can do to
I
make
saw
their
in one of the
experience a
comments,
good one.
I saw in the comment, even non-stop flight can add delays. I just had a 6 hours delay the other day because of storm weather and everything in Miami. And and it was a direct flight. I'm trying to take as much as possible direct flight myself, but sometimes you still have delays.
Yeah, I agree though. She said that makes limited flight options. Yeah, it's true. You may have to come in a day early or stay a day late, but might get everybody there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I know we were kind of just talking about like going above and beyond to, make your clients happy and make the event special, even if things go wrong. Heather, tell us a little bit about VIP guests and keynote speakers and how you would handle travel arrangements for them.
Yeah, so at every conference, somebody's important, whether they want to be important or not, and that can be something that's debatable by the CEO. Some people, CEOs, like to ride the bus like everybody else, but those that are become very important to the client or the keynote, we basically become their personal travel assistant, right? So as communication ahead of time, usually through an assistant, whether it's the keynote or a VIP, to make sure that we have all of their flights. A lot of them don't necessarily fly into the major airports. They might fly into a business airport because they have private charter jets. So it can be a little bit easier to connect with them. I always make sure with our transportation companies, I call in advance and say, hey, there's all different levels of driver. I want your best driver with the best customer service to pick up this VIP. And I want the cell phone of everybody who's going to be involved in that so that I know, because I will have our staff on site with the driver to make sure the driver's on time and make sure that everything is proper. There's water, bottled water in the vehicle and such. But it's really about communication and kind of following them through the bouncing ball of travel, if you will, making sure that they make their connections. If not, how are we going to fix it? And then we usually use a transportation company that either has an app that has car on route to pick up, car on site, customer in car, customer on route to the hotel, so that we can greet them upon arrival at the hotel as well. A lot of the VIPs do not like to wait in line at the front desk. So say they're going to the Wynn. They don't want to wait in the really long line, so we'll pre-check them in. We will check the room ahead of time, make sure that nobody's left soda in their room or there's something weird underneath the sink or whatever. Make sure that that room is properly prepped, make sure that the amenity that we need to have is in there, ordered, ready to go. And we communicate with the hotel upon their arrival as well, hand them their keys, let them go to their room on their own. And then as far as their participation in the conference, we usually assign a VIP meeting producer from our team to kind of take care of them. So we'll work with the VIP. Hey, would you like us to escort you through the building to the general session or the keynote? Sometimes the keynotes are famous, right? So they kind of need a backup house kind of leeway for them to get through to the stage. And so we'll kind of escort and work with them that way. Also, dietary restrictions, needs. We had a keynote recently that needed freshly squeezed orange juice only out of glass. So the orange juice had to come in a glass container and it had to have a glass to drink out of. And there were specific reasons why she needed that. And so little elements like that you need to make sure are on point and ready to go at any given time, chilled, ready. So luxury accommodations and just really making sure that they are taken care of at all times. We try not to be too invasive because they are people and they want their downtime away from everybody, but we want to be helpful as far as their travel as well as their participation in the conference. And same thing with the departure. We're always ahead of them, make sure the car arrives so that, let's say, I don't know, Mrs. Wilson walks up and here you go, right into the car and off your way to the airport. So it's just a very easy travel plan for them.
Perfect. Those are some great tips for taking care of those VIPs for sure. I'm going to put another poll up here. I'd love to hear from everyone. This one is about the local culture at the destination where your event is and how important it is to you to incorporate that into your event. So, love to hear your feedback on that as we dive into some more questions. Um, Looks like so far it's kind of split between all of them. So we'll let those keep rolling in for a little bit. But love to know, Valerie, could you tell us a bit on how to create a compelling agenda that keeps your attendees engaged and keeps them at the session?
So one of the first things I would say is, based on the objective of your meeting, you need to ask before to the participant what they are attending, what are they expecting from this meeting, what they want to talk about, what they want to hear. So first of all, like that, their interest for there will be there. Then I would say, which is sometimes difficult to say because in United States we say, and everywhere now in the world, in the rest of the world, time is money. So when you think about inviting some people for 3 days for a meeting, you take them out of their office and their daily life, work life, 3 by 8, at least 24 hours. 24 hours is a lot of money. So everybody think we need to pack the agenda. We need to pack the agenda. I would say no, don't pack the agenda, because even if we are back to in-person event, the attention span for people is still there. If you pack too much your agenda, they will not listen anything. They will be like, their mind will, they will be tired. They will remember the 3 or 4 important things and they will not remember the rest. So this is important. So I would say, think about some time off, still about like blocks. You do it by blocks. You keep some time off where they can relax, they can network, because also when people nowadays are meeting in person is to network, to meet each other. So you need in your agenda to have this time, to take this time. And it's not only to take it at dinners, it's also during the day, because at night and everything, it's different. You need to think about all those little special moment, relax time, networking time, learning time, so, and make sure that each of those blocks is relevant for them, because if it's not relevant for them, what's in it for me? You need to put yourself in their shoes. They will say, what's in it for me? So this is when you build your agenda. Yeah.
I would also say to that too, just to tag on that, like you're going to have a variety of different people that are coming to your conference. Some of those people might be introverts, right? Who may need time to recharge because they've been at the trade show for 8 hours and the energy is awesome, but getting sucked out of them too. So they need a little bit of downtime so that they can again fully participate into the conference for the next day. So I agree with Valerie. It's a good point to have a little bit of downtime for your guests is always nice. I will say that most American driven conferences are what you say. Every second of the day, there's something
Go,
to
go,
do.
go.
So it's tough. It's tough to put it in there as like me time for the guests, but I agree it is important.
For sure. Absolutely. I'd like to get into a little more about incorporating some of the local attractions into the experience. So I don't know if this is necessarily falls into that downtime that we were talking about, but maybe just alternative options for attendees to do besides just sit in sessions. It looks like from our poll that it is for a lot of our audience important, but not always necessary to incorporate local culture into their event. And then for 31%, it is essential. So it definitely is an important thing, top of mind. So yeah, Heather, could you tell us a little bit on incorporating some local attractions and experiences in your events?
Yeah, I think it can be a miss if you go to a new city. If your conference is annual and you change cities every year, it can be a miss not to include at least one offsite to a unique location. And if it can be private and exclusive, that really just ups the ante for the people and their impact on that. I we did an event in Dallas, and we did an event on the field at the AT&T Stadium, and it was so cool, right? I mean, it was neat to be on the grass. Your pictures on the Jumbotron, like they were
Awesome.
able to bring in former Cowboy players. They had actual like current Cowboy players. We had one of the guests signed up to do $1 million chance kick. If he could kick the football through the uprights, he would win $1 million. He did not win. It went like crazy. However, but I mean, I was the planner, and even I was sitting on the field being like, this is so cool. Like, this is so cool. Like, you don't get to, who gets to be
Yeah.
on the field? Like, nobody, unless you're an actual football player. So, I would definitely say that if you're in a city that has something that is really unique and interesting that you can do within budget, right? Going back to that, and it achieves the goals of the conference, definitely do it. I would also say, as far as incorporating the culture, you can do that. I know a lot of us do that for welcome receptions. You try to do a little flavor of where you are, and that can bring in maybe entertainment that's culturally based to kind of showcase a little bit more about the destination and why you're there, and kind of the historical or cultural or just unique things about the location. That's a really fun way to do it. You can also do it as a general session opener. Done that before too. That's always kind of fun. It gives you a little bit of a flavor. We've done a couple of international events where we've actually brought in local artists and artisans and that kind of stuff who make little trinkets and that kind of stuff. Though, so you're bringing in actual local businesses so people can buy from people in the culture, so you can take home really unique, interesting things. So that's kind of fun too. But yeah, don't, if you can do it and you have it in your budget, don't bring 1,000 people to a city and only show them the ballroom walls, if possible. Like, try to weave it in there somehow.
After in your agenda, if you have like a team building, this is when you can use the local culture of where you are to do some CSR program, because every company nowadays is very about CSR. What can we do for the local community? Helping with repainting classes, helping rebuilding things, helping cleaning beaches, helping planting trees. You know, in Austin, you were having some great CSR program, in Miami, in every destination nowadays. So, but remember also now you have a lot of leisure, because now that people are working 3 days back at the office, let's say, and 2 days home, when you plan a conference, like from people are traveling on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So then nowadays also people can stay on Friday, extend the trip for one more night, or come a little bit earlier. And then what you can do, it's what we did here, for example. Everybody flew on Monday. We start the conference Tuesday at noon for the lunch, and then after lunch. So people were having a half day where they were able to choose an activity to do on their own. And so I think this also can be interesting.
Absolutely. That definitely makes it
I love that
fun,
idea.
exciting. Yeah. I see we are getting a bunch of questions in the chat, and we are starting to run low on time. So I'm going to ask the speakers one last question that I know we got several questions on that were pre-submitted during registration. And we will do a follow-up article trying to touch all these other questions that were asked too, so we can get you answers on those. But what are some key budgetary considerations when planning an event in a new destination that you need to look out for? Like, what are just some of those big ones that you need to be aware of? Heather, do you want to start us off on that?
I always start with flights. I mean, when we're choosing a lot of incentive locations, if you want to go to, St. Martin, the price might be a lot more than going to something that has regular flights to it, like Cancun. So it can really change the budgetary overall scope of it. So you really need to take a look at where you're going and how much you want to invest in that. Or for some other conferences, if the guest itself is going to pay for their flight, that's going to be a barrier of entry right there. They're gonna be like, nope, not spending $2,600 to go to wherever that is. Absolutely not. So I think that's a big one. We kind of try to do flight estimates. You're like, hey, you want to go here? That's great. These are going to be 800. Hey, you want to go here? These are going to be 1,200, and you have to do 4 connections. Like, so that's kind of a big budgetary item for us. And then of course the level of hotel, but that's going to be based on your goals. So if you're going to 4 seasons, then you're going to pay for the luxury, but that might be really important. So that's going to be another budgetary thing as well. to those first two?
Me, what I will say, I remember my corporate planner years, and at Disney, I would take this one, for example, because I still use that. Well, you need to think that when your clients have a budget, normally they will tell you, this is my budget. Let's make it happen in that. So you need to take it backward. 10% of that budget, you need to keep it for miscellaneous. 10%. And then after, the bucket that you still have, you do your apple pie. 30% should be for accommodation, then the food, then the AV, then the decoration. So this is an apple pie, but 10%, don't touch it. Do not touch it. Your client will be very happy if you are not touching it, if you use partially of it, but take it from there. So even international, even national, this is a key. And remember, when you are an event planner, we are on that side. Your clients have a budget, they have a PO. So don't think that after you can come up with more. They will have problems because this is not part of their objective. If you increase their budget by 10%, it will be a big miss for them. So think about that. Take the budget, cut it by 10%. This is your buffer, the miscellaneous, and then take it backwards and do your apple pie.
Really good tip. I like that visual representation. That's definitely how I think of things. So
it's like any
that's
income.
super helpful.
Remember, in United States, everybody is living sometime above their budget. Do it the other way. It's true. It's true.
Yeah, true.
It's smart. Yeah.
Do it the other way.
Yeah. I saw some notes. People are saying food and beverage costs have skyrocketed too. Yeah. That's not untrue.
But
Mm-hmm.
it still need to represent a percentage of your budget, and this percentage shouldn't change.
Right.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we are just about at time. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us today. And big shout outs to Valerie and Heather. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom on destination event planning. I know there's some other questions we didn't even get to because there's just so much on this topic, but we left with so many great tips and tricks. And I hope you all can go plan your next event and keep these all top of mind. Our session today was recorded, so keep an eye out for the replay. And next week, we'll also share a recap article that highlights some of the answers to these questions we didn't get to. And before you go, I'm just very excited to announce a little sneak peek, something Expo Pass has coming soon. It's a brand new series called Expo Pass City Spotlight, and it's all about destinations and exploring unique destinations with insider tips from local experts. So we'll share that in the future via email. I hope you will all enjoy it. We had a lot of fun putting it together. And yeah, thanks again for hanging out with us. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone.
You,
Bye. Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.